Who taught you to hate the texture of your hair? Who taught you to hate the color of your skin to such extent that you bleach to get like the white man? Who taught you to hate the shape of your nose and the shape of your lips? Who taught you to hate yourself from the top of your head to the soles of your feet? Who taught you to hate your own kind? Who taught you to hate the race that you belong to? Don't let anybody make you think that God chose America as his divine messianic force to be a sort of policeman of the whole world. God has a way of standing before the nations with judgment, and it seems that I can hear God saying to America, you are too arrogant. If you don't change your ways, I will rise up and break the backbone of your power, and I'll place it in the hands of a nation that doesn't even know my name. Be still and know that I'm God.
Welcome again to Street Talk. My name is Ahmad Shakaraki. On Street Talk, we deal with political, social, and economics here in Michigan, the U.S., and abroad. Now, joining me tonight,
Charles Thomas,
Dennis Burnside,
Paget Maynard,
Mr. Paget Maynard. We got so much to talk about, but talk about next month. September.
Next month we got September. We got an event going over at Shabazz Academy. We're going to be talking about history, Marcus Garvey, and economics.
That's right.
And it's going to be on the fourth Saturday.
22nd.
22nd.
Yep.
Now you're going to be talking about Marcus Garvey.
Yeah. I want to do an overview of Marcus Garvey's life because Malcolm X's parents were Garveyites.
Okay.
And there were about 1.3 million people of African descent, mainly in the United States, but worldwide, who were followers of Garvey. And you have to consider that this was before the internet, this is before email, this is before cell phones.
Yeah.
You had landlines and you had the U.S. Postal Service pretty much. And he was able to build a movement of over 1 million people whose essential goal was to repatriate back to Africa, to primarily Liberia. And he even built a ship called the Black Star Liner that was designed to accomplish this goal. So, but beyond that, he also had a real strong advocacy for learning your history, black history, which is one of my passions. He had a very profound vision of black economic independence here in the United States, and also political independence. He went, after he was forced from the United States, he went to Jamaica. And Marcus Mosiah Garvey is a hero in Jamaica. I think they may even have a holiday there. I'm not quite sure, but he's an icon there.
I've seen a statue.
And we as African Americans know very little about him. So what I want to do is just tie the ideology and the motivation of Malcolm X, Malcolm Little, and connect it back through his parents to Marcus Garvey and show where that came from.
The influence, And also Charles Moore is going to be doing a presentation on economics for the black community.
Who kind of looks like Marcus Garvey, by the way. I think you'll appreciate that.
Now, the thing on Marcus Garvey is that so many of our people don't know anything about him.
Of course not.
You know, they know nothing about him.
Yeah.
But they know what time the game's coming on.
Oh yeah.
They know what time reality TV's coming on.
You know.
And what time the club opens.
You know, they know all of these things, but
what time church starts.
You know, it's just really sad.
Yeah, it's sad because it's so important and it's who you are. If you know, like Dennis always said, if you don't know who you are, I mean, you're just going to be repeating the same old, stuck in a rut.
Yeah, you know, and to me, it's really amazing, and then to me, it's really sad that people like W.E.B. Du Bois and all the
Frederick
people,
Douglass.
Frederick Douglass
Yeah.
and Ida B. Wells and all
Yeah.
these people.
Yeah, Marcus Garvey.
We know. I mean, it's like,
Largely forgotten.
yeah,
And that amnesia is part of our culture. You know, Marcus Garvey has a famous saying. I've got a poster of it, man, and he says that a people without historical knowledge is like a tree without roots.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And he couldn't be more correct, man. And you know, with me, I always like to go back to the beginning in antiquity and talk about how the first human beings, civilization started in Africa and what we accomplished there, which supersedes anything that exists today.
oh yeah,
But you have black folks right now who think that they're only capable of earning enough to keep over their head, going to church, praying in front of white Jesus, getting that weekend meal and going to the club and having a little fun with the old
Yeah.
lady on the weekend. That's life
yeah,
to them.
yeah.
And we're much more than that.
Yeah.
At least we ought to be.
yeah,
Yeah.
And they do that for 30, 40 years, you know.
Yeah, and we still disrespect our women.
Yeah,
Of course.
yeah,
Yeah.
you know.
We come from a culture, in our innate DNA comes from a culture where women were never seen as less than. They
No,
were
no.
seen as equal
Yeah.
and vital because Africans were the ones who came up with the concept of dualism. You had to have the feminine and the masculine to create the whole. You had to have the left and the right to create the whole. Anything had to have that proper balance. The Greeks stole that concept and
Yep.
of course they're credited with it, but that came out of the Nile Valley. And so now you can look at our religion, it's misogynistic. How many times have you heard a black person say, I'm going to pray to the Father, I'm going to pray to him, he. Why does
Yeah.
God have to have a penis?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where did that come from?
Yeah.
It came from a misogynistic culture that went into the Nile Valley and
Dominated.
copied and patronized
Yep.
your holy books, your Meta Netter,
Yep.
and rewrote it in his image, and now you see God as having a penis.
Right.
And the same thing could be said of Islam, because that came from people who came from outside of Africa,
Yep.
the Assyrians first, and then what we now call Arabic people,
Yeah,
even
right.
though Arabic is an African language.
Yep,
And they came
definitely.
in and they wrote their Quran, and they did it the same way. They made it very misogynistic. So you have God as a male. And now when you have a society that suppresses and dominates and intimidates and disrespects women, and you see how dysfunctional we are, is there any wonder? We're,
Yeah.
we're trying to run a race with one leg.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. And I just realized too that, you know, with the 42 laws of Ma'at, you know, you can't just throw that away.
no,
Because it's real.
It's real.
yeah,
Which
yeah.
is where the Ten
Right.
Commandments come
Right.
from.
And that's where you have to focus on
Yeah.
instead of religion, because there's so many different religions out there that, you know, they'll get, all of them are different.
Oh,
Never
yeah.
the same.
Yeah.
But that 42 laws of Ma'at never change.
Right.
It's what it is and what it should be. And if you don't believe in that, then you're going to believe in the rope-a-dope.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And like, you know, I don't want to really bring it up, but right now, look what's happening, man. These priests being sent to California if he's
Molesting.
if he do something
Abusing.
in New York, they send him to California or Nebraska or somewhere.
Again,
yeah.
if you know your history, you wouldn't be surprised. Because the Catholic Church, which began in 342 AD at the Council of Nicaea, has always been pedophilia. It always has had involved.
Yeah.
And so the idea that you can have an organization that says that a man can't have a wife or a woman, which is a relatively new thing, really,
Yeah.
because you've had times in the past where Catholic priests could marry.
Right.
But when you've had this culture where pedophilia, not homosexuality,
Yeah.
but pedophilia has been not only tolerated and helped covered up, but it's actually been encouraged.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be surprised
Right.
when it's everywhere. Every city of any size, every state, you have a pedophile
Yeah.
priest there.
Yeah.
It's just a fact.
You know, so with all these different religions and everything, everyone has got their thing, you know.
Right. Yeah.
You know, and really, you know, it just you know, it don't bother me, but I think about it.
It's upsetting.
Yeah, it is.
You
It
know,
is.
it's what they're doing with it. It's a crime, especially in the black community, because they're just saying what somebody else told them to say,
Right.
from a seminary.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And it's organized. They launder money.
Yeah, yeah,
You know.
yeah. And you said it, man. It's like they know. These preachers, they know what they are saying.
Ain't right.
It's not right.
No.
But
But
the
they-
ones who went to seminary.
Yeah.
See, they're the ones I had a contempt for. I don't have contempt for the everyday brother who may work at GM or may work as a janitor, and he believes in his heart
Right.
that this person called Jesus Christ is his Lord and Savior, and he must go through him to go to Jesus. My mother believes it. Most black people
Yeah,
don't believe
yeah.
it, and I don't have any doubt about their sincerity or their dedication and love for that, because I think spirituality is within us. But what I do have contempt for is the brothers who've been to seminary school and they know the history. They know the details of how the ecumenical councils debated. Do we make Jesus, do we make him esoteric, or do we make him human? I mean, how do we put this narrative out there now that we done created this
Yeah,
guy? And you can, if you bother, you can go read the debates. It's
Yeah.
not a big secret.
Yeah.
You can go down and see how they created Adam and Eve. You can go down and see how they created first sin and how they created all of these crucial characters like Paul.
Yeah.
You know, where Paul come from?
Yeah.
That used to be one of my biggest questions back when I thought Jesus was a historical figure. I used to try to say, well, now I understand in Mark, in Luke,
Yeah.
and all these cats they ran with, that was Jesus' homies.
Yeah.
But where does Paul cat come
Yeah.
from?
Yeah.
In fact, I remember telling you one time specifically when we was in the sauna at the Y, I'm saying, wait a minute, man. If I walked up to you and said, yeah, man, last week I had lunch with Frederick Douglass and he told me, first thing you do is laugh, second thing you do is try to put me in a straitjacket. But that's essentially the story of Paul.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because Paul had his scales removed from his eyes on the road to Damascus, and on that road he had his revelation, and Jesus told him, well, wait a minute, player. Jesus been dead.
Yeah.
How you know what Jesus said? And you got all these new doctrines that you're going to introduce to the world based on what I have written. And there's one key thing, I believe it's in John. I forget the chapter and verse now. But Paul actually says, I have tricked you with guile. Tells you. I'm about to okie doke.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Yeah.
I guess the bigger point is what you believe and what you have faith in is fine. But you just know that you can't go out Friday night to the club and Saturday night with your mistress and go to church and get 10% and think it's all good because Pastor Porkchop tells you
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Because when you meet with the universe is
Yeah.
going to look how you live your life.
And
Yeah.
you're gonna pay for that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're going to be judged.
Right.
Yeah.
You're going to be judged against that feather of my eye.
Mhm.
And if you lived your life wrong, brother, it's going to be
Yeah.
it's going to be judged.
Yeah,
that way.
and that ma'at is deep because if you live according to ma'at, your heart
should be
should be
lighter,
light as a feather.
Yeah.
lighter than the
Yeah.
feather of my eye.
And,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
don't see it the way
No.
the world's rolling.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, and
Yeah.
the way the black church is rolling.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. You were saying, Patrick?
I was listening to you guys.
Okay.
Now, of course, it depends on a person's perspective. You know, some go, okay, this is the book, the Bible, or the Quran, or the Book of Mormon, and this is what they follow. And each person has to have his belief system. You're going to either believe in this or that or nothing at all.
Okay.
So I get Dennis's point, I get Charles's, yours. But what I would say along that line is stop, think. I believe in God, as we say, the creator.
Okay.
And I align with that.
Mhm.
Now, if you align with something else, like Dennis was saying there, live it, show it. You got to show that what you're saying is in harmony with.
What you talking?
Well,
Mhm.
if you believe this, then live it.
Mhm.
I believe in God. I believe in Him as Creator. I believe in Jesus as Savior. And I got to live that belief out. And when I do that, I would hope that some way you would understand why I do this and not that.
Okay.
I'd like to say this
go ahead, go
too.
ahead. Mhm.
You know, like that was a good point because if we believed in it and we lived it, we should have the same thing that other people have as far as economics, your own environment contained, and without these issues of trying to satisfy another person before you satisfy yourself. If you don't love yourself, you can't love nobody else. You gotta first, love starts at home.
Mm-hmm.
So if I love my family, I'm gonna provide for my family.
Mm-hmm.
And when I work because work helps me spiritually to, as a man,
Right, yeah.
put food on my table.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So if you look at it as a community, a collective community, if I got to go to another man to be judged in the courts or to fight over wages or things of that nature, when I'm a man, I should be able to do that for myself if I believe in what I'm talking about or what's been given me. Yeah.
You were saying?
Well, again, we can debate about the veracity of holy books and whether or not they're correct or accurate, but again, go back to the beginning, before there were holy books. We have, if you look at history based on geological and astronomical and archaeological evidence, civilization in Africa, and I ain't talking about life, I said civilization, started about 323,000 years ago. And if I'm correct there, and say a fraction of that is correct, we've had tens of thousands of years of African spirituality building the most profound and most developed and most justice-laden society the world has ever seen, where it was wealthy but it was fair, where it was possible for anyone from any station in life to fulfill their potential. If we look at that, how do we explain that since the 2,000 years we've had these holy books, that we've seen life on this planet turn into hell on earth? Because the Gutenberg press made the first Bible in the late 15th century.
Yep.
The Quran and the Torah came after Christianity. All of them are misogynistic, male-oriented, male-centered religions. They ignore most of Ma'at. If you look at the 10 Commandments, they only took 9 of them. And they threw in a jealous God thing because they didn't want you to mess with somebody else's religion.
Right.
That was a marketing thing. So if you look at what produced a just and righteous and happy and wealthy society that built and displayed magnificent structures and knowledge, and look at what we do today, where we take pride in building weapons of war and siphoning off wealth so that people live hand to mouth and just a very few at the top live as if they're gods themselves, then you have to ask yourself, are we living right? Because, Chuck's point about developing an independent economic system for your group of people, you can look at 2 groups who've done that very well and try to join them if you want to. Try to become a Mormon or try to become a Jew. Oh, they'll let you in. They got Gladys Knight, she's Uncle Tom, Mormon. But try to really get into the hierarchy and be a move maker and a decision maker. Try to be a real Mormon. They're not going to let you do that.
No.
Because, brother, you ain't one of us.
No.
Yeah.
Same thing with the Jewish people and a lot of the Muslims. A lot of the Muslims too.
You can get past the Sunnis.
Because it's not for you.
Right.
It's not designed for you. Wait a minute. I thought we was talking about how they say him. It's always him. I thought we was talking about him. Well, if we talking about him, how come I can't have some of that?
Right.
Yeah.
Because really it ain't about that. It's
Right.
about us having power. And this is the way we can organize our power into a stable system that keeps us in and keeps everybody else out.
Yeah.
Something you're willing to die for.
Which, not to beat the point to death, but that's what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad did. He created a system that was designed for black people, and he decided, and he created a system that had the economic wealth turning over within the community. It's not successful economically as it used to be, but you remember a time back when we were in an organization where you saw restaurants, where you saw white tablecloth, where you saw people,
Whiting fish,
plumbers.
Yeah.
You could find a NOI man who come in and take care of your plumbing,
Right.
or take care of your plowing, your driving, whatever it was.
Whatever.
Yeah. So that effort was made.
Let's skip how about we
What, Trump going to jail? Is that what you want to talk about? Because I've been chomping at the bit to get to that.
how many minutes we got?
Our boy, we talk about our boy.
How many minutes we got?
Agent
Pat?
Orange.
Yeah.
We got 9.
8.
We got 8. Oh, okay.
Well,
let's-
last week, this is August 27th. Last Tuesday, which would have been the 22nd.
Mhm.
We had 8 counts of guilty come down on Paul Manafort.
Okay.
We would have had 18, but you had one juror who held out on 10 counts because she just could not see how he was guilty. Most of that had to go around Rick Gates' testimony. But be that as it may, you had 8 felony counts come down on Trump's campaign manager. You
Don't
had
forget
8
that lady.
counts
That
pleaded
one
guilty.
person was a Trump supporter.
All of them were. The woman who was on
Holding
TV
up.
being interviewed saying that the one who held out and wouldn't give us the guilty verdict on the other 10 charges, she said I was a Trump supporter. And I came into this with the attitude that Trump could do no wrong, and I didn't want to see Paul Manafort become guilty because that would reflect bad on my man. But she said, well, the evidence was the evidence. And then the same day you had Michael Cohen copped to 8 felonies in his trial. He's flipped. The Trump organization lawyer has flipped
Yep.
and taken immunity.
Yep.
AMI's a publisher of in the National Enquirer.
Mhm.
He's flipped and taken
Yep.
taken immunity. Trump is through.
Yeah, and
Trump
he's
is
and
cooked.
he
Treasurer.
slapped Sessions again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. And then section.
And Sessions hit him back. You know.
Yeah.
He
He
hit
kind
him
of.
back.
Yeah. Yeah. He kind of.
That's how hard.
Yeah. He kind of came back.
You mean?
Yeah.
He's
He
bad
kinda-
boy.
That's what Sessions did.
Yeah. He kind of came back a little.
But you
bit,
notice Trump is at the point now. He is still coming out with Sessions should have told me, and if he had said he was going to, and even my enemies said he should have let me know he was going to recuse
Right,
himself.
right.
Now, how could he recuse himself when there was nothing on the table?
Right.
That's
There
how
wasn't
stupid
any
Trump is,
charge.
though, Patrick. He doesn't get those subtleties.
No.
You know, he's just a dumb man.
He's just yeah.
And the thing about it is that Section, he's supposed to be neutral. He's supposed to be neutral.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know.
And
I mean,
putting pressure on him. trying
Yeah.
to-
If you're the lawman of the country, you're supposed to be.
Well, the
Yeah,
reason
but-
why Sessions had to recuse himself, let's be historically honest about it, or accurate. The reason why Sessions had to recuse himself because he was knee deep in it too.
Oh, yes.
He had to recuse himself because he
yes.
was part of the Russian.
You're right.
And in his
Yeah.
in his
a normal attorney
hearing,
general would not be in his position.
in his
Right.
hearing,
Yeah.
he lied, saying he had no contact with
Right,
Russians.
right.
Several times he lied.
But
Right.
but it came out later,
Yeah.
and he had no way of staying in this thing. He had to recuse himself.
Right.
But
So
but-
he could have been neutral or biased, but he could not have been part of the
Couldn't.
conspiracy.
Yeah,
which
but-
he was. He lied about it.
But the thing is,
Under oath.
every every type of law enforcement I've remember from back in the early '60s is that you're supposed to be neutral, and your job is
Arbitrary justice.
yeah.
Yeah, man. Well, Bobby Kennedy went after the mob because the mob was an enemy of his father.
Mhm.
Joe Kennedy
Purple
and
Gang.
Carlos
Yeah.
Marcello
Yeah.
and all those cats were all rum runners. They
Right.
were enemies. One went politically legit, the rest stayed in organized crime, and that resulted in Kennedy getting his head blown off the
Yeah.
street. So
Catholic
you had
Church.
biases.
Yeah, in the
Right.
Catholic
But the
Church.
point is,
Yeah.
you can't be so immersed in the criminality
Right.
that you have to recuse yourself from even being involved with it. And that's what Jeff Sessions is.
Yeah, well,
and that's what Trump says.
he
Well,
did
how
the
I
right
know that?
thing.
Well, man, everybody around
Knew.
you is involved
Yeah.
in the Russian investigation.
Yeah.
That
Yeah,
is
they're
the
all-
big
Yeah,
thing.
the swamp.
You see, because now it was like throwing out a net, and lots of fish under there. But you have to pull that
Separate.
cord to close that net. And sometimes in closing the net, some might get out,
You're squeezed out. Yeah.
but you're going to come in on the big fish. Trump is the big fish, and he realizes it now. His people are showing it. Even you hear that fool Giuliani coming out chatting all kind of baloney about truth is not truth and these kind of stupid things. He himself is worried because he doesn't know what might come out on him. And don't underestimate it. He might have his share in there too.
Well, see, the thing about it is that about 13 or 14 years ago, I think it was when, now it might have been a little bit longer than that. Giuliani said, "Oh, the president, he can't be this," and now they showed it last week. I think last week or week before last, he was saying that, and now he comes around something different now.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, I mean, it's like.
But you know, Giuliani.
That's Giuliani.
Giuliani can't help
They
himself.
too much alike.
He is trying to defend Trump.
Yeah.
But all he's doing is making
Yeah,
Trump
yeah,
look
yeah.
more of a fool
Yeah.
and getting himself deeper and
Right.
deeper
Yeah.
into
They're both
oh,
lying.
Trump didn't know anything about it. Oh, he paid. He paid. He paid.
No, he didn't
Now
pay.
Trump
He
come
didn't
out and
pay.
say, well, it wasn't from the organization. It was my money. I
Yeah.
paid for
Yeah,
it.
I mean, and then Trump sits up there and was talking to this lady. He said, "Well, yeah, but it was my money." It's like,
Didn't come from the
yeah,
campaign.
yeah,
It came from me.
yeah. I mean,
man.
Yeah, he's still.
Fish-eyed fool.
Wait a minute, didn't he just say there was no payoff?
Right,
And
yeah.
you
Yeah.
knew nothing
Yeah,
about it.
yeah,
Now all of a
yeah,
sudden you
yeah.
dead, man.
Yeah,
Come
not
on,
that
man.
if they show him the tape again, that wasn't me.
I mean, get a lot straight,
I mean,
man. Cannot get a lot
you
straight.
know, the man is.
You see,
liar.
that is why they don't want him to go before Mueller.
Yeah.
Because they are afraid he is going to lie. He cannot keep his
Oh, he
mouth
won't lie.
straight.
Yeah.
And that is why you hear Giuliani saying it's a trap.
Perjury
They're
trap.
setting up for him to commit perjury.
Yeah.
But you know, Trump has said that, but you know, there's no way he's ever going to go before this man unless you know, pressure and everything,
Yeah.
because he just said that, so all the people, oh no, you better not do that. I mean, but it's like he was never going to do that.
Anyhow, so on that point, right now, many people are saying Trump should be seriously thinking of resigning his office
Right.
because things are closing in on
Right.
him.
And it's too much at stake.
Yeah, but you know, the thing is that we wouldn't get anything better if he walked out and the vice president, he's worse than Trump, and
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
And-
Justice dictates Trump should not be president. And then we need to talk about Mike Pence because he's been lying.
Right.
right, and
Right.
then,
And we'll take care of him. And if we got to go through 55 corrupt Republicans
Yeah.
and get one who's
Yeah,
not.
the Speaker of the House.
Right.
yeah,
go
he's
ahead.
yeah, you know. Okay, my name is Ahmad Shakaraka, and we'll catch you around the next block. Peace.
Who taught you to hate the texture of your hair? Who taught you to hate the color of your skin to such extent that you bleach to get like the white man? Who taught you to hate the shape of your nose and the shape of your lips? Who taught you to hate yourself from the top of your head to the soles of your feet? Who taught you to hate your own kind? Who taught you to hate the race that you belong to? Don't let anybody make you think that God chose America as his divine messianic force to be a sort of policeman of the whole world. God has a way of standing before the nations with judgment, and it seems that I can hear God saying to America, you are too arrogant. If you don't change your ways, I will rise up and break the backbone of your power, and I'll place it in the hands of a nation that doesn't even know my name. Be still and know that I'm God.